Hi, it's Therese in Lostinpaper, and I'm here with another Cards for Men design today using a penny black stamp which is called Doggie Treat. How cute is this stamp? I think that these kind of images really work well on a masculine design, and I just felt like doing some watercolouring kind of techniques today. So we're smushing and colouring with Inktense pencils. So I've got a panel of, this is the Bristol Strathmore smooth cardstock, which is the 300 grams, and I've cut it to the same size as my card and my card front. And the reason I like to use the same cardstock, like on the card front for my images and everything, I just get freaked out when I have like a really white cardstock against, and this one is quite white compared to a lot of the ones that you can use for watercolouring. So by having it the same tone, when your card's in that finished phase, it all looks the same. In the finished phase, listen to me. So I've picked up my distress inks with a piece of acetate, and while they're drying, I've actually stamped a balloon image using some jet black archival ink, which is water resistant. Is that what it is? You can use it with water and it won't bleed. I think that's kind of like water resistant. And I thought it would be a good idea just to use these distress inks while they're sitting on my craft sheet to colour the balloons while my panel was drying. So then I decided to add a second colour. So the first one was Tumble Glass, and the second colour is Mermaid Lagoon, which is a brighter and darker blue. I want it to be a fairly bright, fun sort of background on this design, and I think that always works really well with masculine cards as well. So now I've set it aside to dry again. This is like, I don't know how watercolour artists do it, you know, that whole, because it does make such a difference if you give yourself time to let things dry in between. The layers are what makes watercolouring so fantastic. It just takes time, and I'm obviously too impatient. Anyway, I thought, well, while that was drying, I could start colouring my image. I've stamped him out in the jet black again, and what I like to do with my Inktense pencils, because these are basically a watercolour style, watercolour pencils, so they activate with water, I add a couple of layers of colour before I activate them with the water. And one of the best things, or one of the good things about these pencils, or bad, depending on what you're wanting to do, is that once the colour is dry, it's permanent. So if you want to add other mediums on top, and I'll often do this, is I'll come in and add pencil, or you can even add Copics on top. They won't hurt. I have done that before. They haven't hurt my Copics when I've done it. But generally I would come in with like a Prismacolor or something on top if I wanted to just add a bit more depth. But I'm determined to practice with my watercolours and get them, you know, get the layers happening naturally rather than try and cheat by adding pencils after. So now I couldn't wait any longer, and now while that Inktense is, I'm waiting for that to dry, I thought, well, I'll add my last layer of smushing, and this is the Twisted Citron, which would have to be my most favourite of all of the distress inks at the moment. I just love it. It's the most amazing sort of chartreusey green. So I've set that aside to dry, and in the meantime my dog has dried, which the Inktense really doesn't take as long as the distress inks, but by waiting in between those layers you do get a depth again. So I'll just leave you with the colouring, and I'll be back fairly soon after the colouring and the fussy cutting is all done. Alright, so now it's time to work on the sentiment, and this is one that says "You rock," and it's from the Let's Chat set. I forgot to tell you that I got the balloon out of the Time to Celebrate set, and it's this cute little hedgehog running around with a balloon, but I just wanted the balloon image and I figured I could just draw my own strings on the card after, but I'll show you that in a minute. I did use my Misty here because I am using the Bristol cardstock, and I wanted to be sure that I got a nice bold stamp, and I've used my Onyx Black ink, and I actually did need to stamp it twice. I'm cutting everything out right up to the border today, and when I do that I do like to, I didn't show it in the video, but I do like to come in with either a grey marker or a black marker and just draw around the edge of the design just to cover up all those white spots. Alright, so now I'm attaching my smooshed panel to the front of my top fold card, and because it's watercolour cardstock I do add lots of adhesive. I'd rather have more than not enough, and the ATG is very affordable. The adhesive works out so much cheaper than like stamp runners and things normally, so I don't mind putting a bit extra on there. I've got my Copic multiliner, it's the 0.3, and just drawing some balloon strings down the front of the card and a little bow at the bottom. I've popped up the speech bubble just with a couple of layers of foam squares, and I've used the same on some of the balloons as well as just some score tape. So one of the balloons sits flat on the card, the other couple of balloons do pop up just a little bit, and then on my dog I did decide to add some they're just scraps of fun foam. I keep these bits, I don't know why, for some reason. Well, fun foam in Australia is quite expensive, so I do keep them, and I can just use my score tape to hold them in place and stick my little doggy down. So that's my card for today. Thanks for joining me. I hope you've had as much fun as I have today, waiting for paint to dry. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.